The station doors that previously slammed shut on your frantic calls for assistance are now permanently closed, chosen ones. Do you recall the contemptuous looks, the report that was discarded, or the unanswered calls? Following a thorough corruption probe, the precinct that handled your matter like a hassle has lost its financing. As cops cleaned their desks, residents of the community gathered outside, some carrying posters with their own stories of neglect, while others just watched in quiet vindication. While resources were being directed elsewhere, internal documentation showed a pattern of purposefully disregarding certain cases, including yours. The outrage had been growing for years, but the scandal just happened suddenly. Your encounter was a component of a system that ultimately collapsed due to its own wrongdoing. It was not a singular episode. Justice may appear in unexpected ways. It came today in the form of public indignation and budget cutbacks. While others stayed blind, you were able to see the pattern that had always been there. All of the awakened people's reports were methodically buried. All of the evidence presented by the hyper-aware individuals was purposefully misplaced. Your worries were dismissed as baseless, your statements as untrustworthy. Their system was meticulously crafted to quiet the exact voices they ought to have paid the most attention to. Now, the papers speak for themselves. Memoranda from inside, which were made public, detailed the focused campaign against those they considered problematic. Reporters, the coded language they used to flag your concerns, and the instruction to avoid interaction with anyone who showed symptoms of heightened perception. They developed whole procedures to exclude you in particular, those whose vision broke through their barrier of power. Desk sergeants were taught to identify you right away and refer you to special handling. As soon as your name showed, their computers would alert. No handling was required for special handling. It meant putting on a show of care and then purposefully doing nothing. They used covert notations to record your findings, such as subject displays patterns consistent with, without ever finishing the phrase, allowing the implication to do the dirty job. Now that the statistical proof has been exposed, the pattern is undeniably true. Complaints from persons who had your specified characteristics were routinely disregarded. Complaints from certain areas were ignored, and reports with particular phrases were buried. In the court of public opinion, they are now damned by the suppression algorithm they used against you. The dam has broken. A deluge of discoveries has emerged from what started as a trickle of leaked information. Former policemen come forward with testimony that supports all of your suspicions because they can no longer take the guilt of collaboration. Internal affairs investigations reveal money traces that result in witness intimidation, tampered evidence, and compromised interests. The corruption is more pervasive than you may have thought. This is a systematic concealment of particular information, and the issue goes beyond ordinary police malfeasance. The station deliberately sought to discredit anyone who presented certain kinds of information, rather than just ignoring reports. Why is the question that keeps coming up on social media and in City Hall. What did they have to conceal? Who did they have to protect? Previously dismissive journalists suddenly swarm your door, eager to cover the story they previously turned down. On primetime programs, the same news anchors who helped marginalize you now express your opinions. The public's hunger for justice becomes unquenchable as each new discovery appears. # Dare Police Station. Defunded is the trending hashtag around the country. Millions of televisions watch your vindication unfold in real time. Once a staunch supporter of the department, the mayor now stands gaunt in front of microphones. The police chief resigns in shame, and 3 deputy chiefs are put on administrative leave. Effective immediately, they say in a trembling voice. All funding will be redirected, pending a complete investigation. Federally protected internal materials. Once seemingly unbreakable, the structure now crumbles beneath the weight of its own corruption. Those with sight could always see the indications, which flashed like cosmic beacons. Remember the cop who couldn't keep eye contact while collecting your report? The little change in your body language when you brought up particulars? The way you articulated what you'd seen altered the mood in the room. These weren't made up. Long before physical proof appeared, your senses were alert to their deceit. You saw how certain names would elicit obvious emotions from the employees, how some areas you mentioned in your reports would prompt cops to gaze at one another, and how your file was treated differently. It was put away instead of being processed regularly. While others were unaware of the significance of these microscopic clues, they registered in your heightened awareness. When you arrived at the station with fresh information, the squad vehicle parking lot would abruptly empty. The handy system failures that happened just when you came to check in. Your case will be handled by a rotating cast of cops, so no one individual will be able to fully put everything together. While others took law enforcement's theatrical act at its value, your mind made a list of these abnormalities. Their building was a witness as well. Sections of the station that were always being renovated, entrances that should have been accessible but were strangely shut, and security cameras positioned at strategic angles away from certain sections. The actual area was intended to be deceptive and obfuscating. You saw the obstruction's architecture as people passed by blindly. The public's reaction bursts violently. The discovery has angered the citizens who ignored your warnings as the ramblings of the overzealous and went by you on the street. They are so full of righteous outrage on social media. They write disgusting online. They demand, conveniently disregarding their own culpability via apathy. How could this happen? Similar to storm fronts, protests gather around City Hall. Signs with catchphrases that reaffirm your long-standing beliefs. Chants that may have been taken straight out of your unread reports. The same phrases that formerly made you stand out are now used as catchphrases by the general public. You are aware of the cosmic irony. Your voice, which was previously alone, is now heard across thousands of throats. Meetings of the community are too full. Now, those who used to cross the street to escape your intensity are demanding answers, responsibility, and the same justice you fought for. Systemic transformation is now demanded by religious leaders who formerly advised patience and faith in authority. Now, politicians who disregarded your letters focus their campaigns on the same concerns you brought up. The gears of society are turning in your favor. Even local law enforcement officials distance themselves from the controversy. They assert that this doesn't represent who we are. Even yet, they are maintaining the same structures. The majority are duped by their theatrical fury, but you are not. You are aware of the strategic repositioning and damage control. Nevertheless, the public pressure drives tangible improvements that would not have been feasible without this crisis. Look, if you're paying attention, you already know that the game is rigged and that the walls are closing in. So let's speak about what we're doing about it. People want to be heard, held accountable, and given a fair hand when they spend their lives at the mercy of the market, when property and profit dominate the land. We listen to you. Yes, there are paywalls in the Obsidian Inner Order. Those who support us and keep our quest going provide us with ammo to battle the Archons. Resist the machine, delve deeper, and find more. As a thank you, we also provide our premium members access to a weekly, 1-hour live customized group tarot reading, which provides direction, understanding, and clarity for the future. However, we cannot overlook kicking a guy for lying on the ground. Because of this, you may now steal our unique daily email, The Astral Atom, for free. No catch, no paywall. Simply click the link in the description to sign up for the Patreon free tier. Our dialogue with you has begun, and it will be reciprocal. Any email we send you may be replied to. We'll read it, listen to you, and do our best to get the cosmos itself to respond. We need your help if you can. Take what's free if you can. The Inner Order of Obsidian is open. Let's resume our work now. The financial collapse occurs really quickly. Millions initially allocated for the station are reallocated during emergency sessions of the City Council. Independent oversight committees now have budget lines, Pension money are on hold until an inquiry is conducted. Funds for victim compensation were used to offset officer pay. From the hub of corruption, the economic effects spread, affecting everyone who made the system possible. Career annihilation now awaits those who ascended through the ranks by taking part in the repression. Termination notices have replaced promotions that were founded on the burying of truth. Overnight, the financial stability they acquired through their collusion vanishes. They now have fragile mortgages, auto payments, and college money for their kids. Compound interest is the tangible price they pay for their moral lapse. The department's confiscated property is urgently reviewed. Assets are frozen. Inventory of equipment was audited. Lockups of evidence were sealed by new authorities. The material machinery that enabled their perversion was now being disassembled in a methodical manner. Even the actual structure, which was once a symbol of power, is now half empty, and its future is unclear. The next fiscal year's budget allocations reveal a glaring zero where millions formerly were. Resources are being allocated to new projects in the meantime, such as independent review boards, transparency technology, and community supervision programs. The money that individuals who opposed the changes hoarded is now being used for the exact reforms you supported. Once written off as unrealistic idealism, your vision for accountability is now the cornerstone of budget justifications and policy statements. Not every person wearing the uniform took part in the corruption to the same extent. Others were more aware. A few acknowledged the veracity of your reports. You could see it in their eyes. The little pause before they obeyed instructions to remove you. The spark of recognition. Despite their internal protests, these officers must now face their own consequences, since their silence condemns them. Your report was surreptitiously duplicated by the younger officer before it was destroyed. The desk sergeant who muttered, "Try the county, Sabam," when you struck departmental bottlenecks. The investigator who unintentionally left case notes in a potentially accessible location. Although these meager acts of defiance were unable to defeat the suppression apparatus, they do highlight the fracture lines present in the monolith. Their testimonies now emerge. One officer tells investigators, "We were told to code some reports differently." There was an unwritten policy about specific types of complaints, admits another. According to a former lieutenant, anyone who asked too many questions found themselves on midnight shifts in the worst districts. The sophisticated intimidation used to preserve the culture of silence has finally been revealed by individuals who were responsible for its continuation. After the event, some people exaggerate their resistance in an attempt to portray themselves as heroes. Others lose it when questioned, the guilt of collaboration finally getting to them. Despite mounting evidence against them, some people continue to adhere to the rule of silence. You acknowledge the range of responsibility, seeing that institutions degrade people to differing degrees, but you don't fall for those who want unmerited salvation. The first step for taking back your power is this moment of validation. The credibility that is abruptly given to you by circumstance gives you a platform that you have been denied for too long. Use it strategically. The recorded warnings that preceded the collapse, which you previously disregarded, now have the weight of prophecy. Give them the power they have always earned. Your expertise is needed by the new agencies managing the transition. Treat them as a vital resource rather than a supplicant. You have the historical knowledge that they sorely need. Despite institutional opposition, your painstakingly preserved evidence today serves as a guide through the corruption. Give it a thorough, chronological, and unquestionable presentation. Be very precise in your communication with people who are now in control. Steer clear of sentimental phrases that might lead people to classify you as just irritated. Talk with the calm authority of someone whose judgments have been confirmed by facts. Cite particular dates, case numbers, and participants. Your meticulousness proves the dependability they once doubted. Keep a record of everything throughout this time of adjustment. Note names, times, and answers. Old habits continue in new forms, even after the system reconfigures itself. Remain vigilant while others rejoice in an unwarranted triumph. The heightened awareness that first exposed the truth must not be dulled by the affirmation you get today. You have been validated, not rendered obsolete. The reverberations go much beyond a single police station. These days, similar organizations go through frenetic internal assessments in an attempt to find similar flaws before they are exposed as well. Their anxiety is evident in their abrupt policy changes and proactive transparency attempts. The fallen are a reflection of the corrupt. Keep a watchful eye on the nearby precincts. Take note of their abrupt changes in procedure. Take note of the sudden declarations of retirement. Keep tabs on any questionable reassignments or transfers. For those with perceptive eyes, the rush to hide trails causes obvious disruptions. While others continue to focus on the big controversy, your awareness picks up on these small changes. In matters that had previously languished, the courtroom suddenly becomes more efficient. Records that had been considered lost for years were inexplicably discovered. Judges withdrawing from cases that they formerly had firm authority over. Prosecutors are returning to cases that were dismissed with renewed vigor. As one element fails, the symbiotic linkages between corrupted systems become apparent, requiring others to either adapt or be exposed. Even private organizations that are associated with law enforcement change. Urgent ethical checks are carried out by security firms that have police contracts. Restructuring is announced by Department of Defense law firms. Equipment suppliers provide updated compliance protocols. When a fundamental component fails, the whole ecosystem trembles. As you connect the dots that others are still unable to perceive, you see the cascading ramifications. Those who remained mute in solidarity now have a voice. The lawyer who trusted you but was unable to establish wrongdoing. The reporter who conducted research but was unable to publish without confirmation. The ex-cop who saw but was afraid of reprisals. Now that they have been vindicated, they come out and offer alliance after the personal danger has decreased. Use caution while assessing these newfound pals. Some really did, to the best of their ability, support your cause. Others just shifted their positions to take advantage of the changing breezes. The social worker who surreptitiously recommended you to others for advice. Accidentally revealing the papers you were looking for was the city clerk. The counselor who didn't pathologize your views. Unlike the opportunists, these true friends are deserving of praise. Previously reluctant to align themselves with your contentious assertions, community groups are now inviting you to collaborate. Candidates for office want your support. Advocacy organizations want you to serve on panels. The social capital that has been denied to you suddenly becomes plentiful. Recognize the importance of selective alignment and make wise allocations. In the new environment, your affirmation is like money. Invest it wisely. The real worth of allies is shown by their deeds, not only their affiliation. They don't try to censor your message. They just make your voice louder. They provide resources without requesting collaboration that is compromised. They acknowledge your dominance in this field without attempting to take advantage of it for their own gain. The quality of the coalition is much more important than the number of new supporters.